So 2016, or otherwise known as the worst year ever, is finally coming to a close, and a lot of movies came out during it. Some of them were pretty good, and a lot of them were not so good, but those are both videos for another day. For today though, I thought it would be kind of fun if we took a look at the... Yep, there it goes.
I dropped my Hot Pocket.
I thought it would be kind of fun to take a look at IMDb and briefly talk about the movies that I'm most looking forward to in 2017. So there were some movies that were released this year so they can be considered for Oscars, but they aren't officially released until 2017, and one of those movies is Silence, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Andrew Garfield. This tells the story of two Jesuit priests who travel to Japan to find their long-lost mentor. Judging from the trailer, it looks like another hit from Martin Scorsese. It looks beautiful, the acting looks phenomenal. It definitely looks like a big Oscar contender. Another big Oscar hopeful is A Monster Calls, starring Felicity Jones. It looks kinda cool, it kinda looks like your typical kid befriends a monster story, but the monster is a tree voiced by Liam Neeson, so that can't possibly be bad. Another movie that I'm really excited about is Live by Night, starring Ben Affleck, and also written and directed by Ben Affleck. I've always found him to be a solid actor, but when it comes to writing and directing, Ben Affleck is incredibly talented. The Town, I think, is one of the best heist movies ever made, and Argo was also really good. Plus, judging from the trailers, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's set in the 1920s, which is one of my favorite time periods, and it's a gangster movie, which those are almost never bad. So our first hard release for 2017 is XXX: The Return of Xander Cage. Wow, what a way to start. This stars Vin Diesel, and it's an action movie. That's basically everything you need to know. Basically, the best way to describe this franchise is Fast and the Furious on steroids. I mean, this movie is going to feature Vin Diesel skiing through the jungle and motorbiking on the water. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but I can't wait. Plus, with the inclusion of action stars like Donnie Yen and Ruby Rose, I have a feeling this movie's going to be a ton of fun. And then we have Split, starring James McAvoy and directed by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, who hasn't exactly had the best track record recently. He made two really good movies at the start of his career, and then he made some other movies, which weren't as good.
What? No!
So he's been in a rough patch recently, but if early reviews are to be believed, this looks like it might be M. Night Shyamalan's big comeback. When I first saw the trailer, I was kind of split on it. Pun not intended, but I wish it was. The premise seemed kind of interesting but kind of cool, but other parts like this part were just ridiculously stupid.
An individual with multiple personalities can change their body chemistry with their thoughts.
Oh! Okay! In that case, do you think you could elaborate?
Still though, since the reviews are pretty good, I'm decently excited for it. Up next we have The Founder, starring Michael Keaton, which tells the story of the founder of obesity, I mean McDonald's. It looks pretty good. The best way I can describe it is kind of like The Social Network but with fast food, but I just really want to see Michael Keaton get an Oscar nomination again. Mainly because I'm still ticked that Michael Keaton lost for Birdman after Eddie Redmayne won for Theory of Everything. Next we got Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Now, I'm not excited for this movie because I'm actually excited for the movie. No, I am excited that this franchise is finally ending. This stupid, boring, uninteresting franchise that has absolutely nothing to do with the video games it's based on. I cannot wait for it to be over. Thank you, God. Next up, we got 50 Shades Darker. No thank you! Next up, we got John Wick Chapter 2, which I am incredibly excited about. The first John Wick is one of the best action movies I've seen in recent years, and maybe Keanu Reeves' best movie ever. John Wick is a character that I genuinely want to see more of, and it looks like this movie is going to give us just that, and I can't wait. And then we have the Lego Batman movie, which from the trailers looks actually better than Batman v Superman. The first Lego movie that I absolutely adore. I think it's probably in my top 10 favorite animated movies ever made. The Lego Batman movie looks like it's going to have more of the beautiful animation, more of the lovable characters, more of the great humor, and actually looks like it's going to be a very good tribute to the character of Batman. For those reasons, this is easily one of my most anticipated animated movies for next year. Next we have The Great Wall, which has been a little bit controversial, but I actually think it looks kind of cool. The director Zhang Yimou actually made this movie called Hero, which is a great martial arts movie. The Chinese movie industry as a whole is actually very underrated because they've made some excellent films. If you haven't seen the Ip Man trilogy, it's on Netflix right now, and I can't recommend it enough. They're some of the best martial arts movies that I've ever seen. But yeah, this one, the stylization looks really cool. It's a cool idea. I know some people are annoyed by the whitewashing, but really at the end of the day, all I really care about is if the movie's good, so we'll just have to see what happens. Up next, we got Fist Fight starring Ice Cube and Charlie Day, which I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but the trailer was pretty funny, and yeah, I'm going to see it. Okay, Get Out. This one is a little bit interesting to me, and I'll explain why. So this is actually the directorial debut of Jordan Peele from Key and Peele, who obviously is a comedian. However, the movie is being advertised as a horror, but the way it's edited and the actual premise seems kind of silly and kind of over the top, so I'm kind of wondering if this is a comedy disguised as a horror movie, or if it's actually a horror movie. Whether it's either of those things, it looks good, and I'm actually excited to see if Jordan Peele can actually direct a movie. Alright, one of the most anticipated movies for next year for me is Logan. Now, the title might seem boring, but this is actually the third and supposedly final Wolverine movie. This one takes place in the future again, and almost all the mutants are dying out except for Wolverine and Professor X. And they have to look out for this girl in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, so it's basically The Last of Us with Wolverine, which, that sounds awesome if that's what it is. From what I've seen, this looks like it's going to be a worthy conclusion to the character of Wolverine, and I just can't wait. Plus, this might be the actually first great Wolverine movie. I mean, the last one was okay, but X-Men Origins Wolverine is probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. Kong Skull Island. Now this is the latest King Kong remake. They're trying to do this whole monster universe thing again with all the big like Japanese monsters, even though King Kong's not Japanese, but the point is they want to make King Kong versus Godzilla, so that's why this movie's being made. When I saw the first trailer for this movie, I was totally on board. I thought it looked dark, I thought it looked gritty, I thought the actual scale of the movie looked incredible. But then that second trailer came out and it still looks good, but the tone drastically shifted from dark and serious to kind of just silly and happy and fun. Hopefully the movie is somewhere in the middle where it's not too serious and it's not too lighthearted. If they do that, I think this could be a really awesome movie. Okay, the Beauty and the Beast remake. Now when this movie was first announced, I could not stand it because this is back in the day when all of Disney's remakes sucked. So I thought remaking arguably one of Disney's best movies was a horrible, horrible idea. But then The Jungle Book came out and it completely restored my faith in these Disney remakes. It was a great balance of old stuff and new stuff, and it was just a great movie. My biggest concern for Beauty and the Beast though is that it's going to be too similar because the designs almost look identical to the animated movie. The plot line almost looks identical to the animated movie. And I guess it is a musical, so they're going to be singing the same songs from the animated movie, so I don't really understand the point of remaking something if you're going to do the exact same thing. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it's probably going to be good. Alright, Power Rangers. Now, I never watched the OG Power Rangers. I just watched one of the billions of spin-offs they made. I think I watched the Samurai one, the Dinosaur one, and the RoboCop one. But yeah, this movie looks kind of cool, looks kind of serious, but it looks like it has the same style of the original show. But yeah, it's probably going to suck, but yeah, I'm going to see it no matter what. Ghost in the Shell. This is another movie that received a ton of controversy for whitewashing. They made a Japanese character white in this version. But the trailer looks really stylistic, looks really cool, looks very interesting. Now, I never watched the original anime, but from what I've seen from images and character designs, it looks almost exactly like it. I know it's controversial that they cast a white actress in a Japanese role, but like I said with The Great Wall, all I really care about at the end of the day is if the movie's good, so hopefully this one will be good. Up next, we have The Boss Baby, starring Alec Baldwin as a baby. Alright. And next we have The Smurfs: The Lost Village. Why do we keep bringing back the Smurfs? Does anyone really like the Smurfs? I know there is a big fan base for the Smurfs and a lot of people like it, but I don't understand it. I'm sorry. I find the Smurfs to be annoying. I don't find them to be funny. I don't find them to be likable. I think the animation in the original show is terrible. I think the songs are terrible. I think the jokes are terrible. I think everything about the show is annoying, and I wish it would just go away forever. But for whatever reason, Hollywood keeps bringing it back, and each movie seems to be getting worse and worse and worse, and I just can't stand it. Stop making Smurfs movies! In all honesty, this one looks better than the last one, but just why? Alright, so next we got Fast and the Furious 8, also known as Fate of the Furious, but I'm not going to call it that because that title is really stupid. I mean, to be fair, the Fast and the Furious movies on a whole are kind of stupid to begin with, but this one looks kind of interesting with Dom actually being a villain of some sorts, turning against his team. Plus you got Charlize Theron as the villain, who's a great actress. Yeah, it'll probably be fun and entertaining. The Animal Crackers movie. They're making a movie about animal crackers. This is real, I'm not making this up. Speaking of strange movies that no one really asked for, Baywatch starring The Rock, which was that lifeguard show that they're making a movie about it. All right. Again, it looks like a dumb action movie. Probably not going to be very good, but might be entertaining. I don't know. And then we have the sequel to my all-time favorite Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for this movie. That second trailer absolutely blew me away. It gave me everything that I wanted to see. Great characters, great special effects, great action, great humor, great music. It just looks phenomenal. Also, Baby Groot. Moving on. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, directed by Guy Ritchie. This one looks kind of cool. They're doing a lot of interesting mythology with the whole King Arthur lore. And plus, I really like Guy Ritchie's style of editing. It's very fast-paced, very unique. I really loved his take on the Sherlock Holmes franchise, so I am genuinely interested to see what he does with the King Arthur franchise. So if there is one movie this year that I desperately want to be good the most, it's Alien Covenant. This is actually the sequel to Prometheus, which was okay. It looked beautiful. It totally fit the style of Alien, but it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But Ridley Scott is back directing, and he just recently directed The Martian, which is a great return to form for him, but I just really want another good Alien movie that isn't Alien or Aliens. Those first two are great, but everything after that is complete garbage. I mean, you also have Neil Blomkamp directing an actual official sequel to Alien with Sigourney Weaver returning as Ellen Ripley, so I just really want this movie to do well so we can really bring back the Alien franchise in full force and finally get more good Alien movies. It's one of my favorite sci-fi franchises, and I really want to see it done justice again. Wonder Woman. Now, I can't really say why, but I'm actually kind of excited for this one. Yes, I know Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad kind of sucked, but I don't know. I have a really good feeling about this one. I mean, to be honest, I just hope it's good. I mean, how long have we been waiting for a Wonder Woman movie? You know something's wrong when Green Lantern and the Guardians of the Galaxy get their own movies when the most popular female superhero of all time doesn't. But she's finally got one, so hopefully it'll be awesome. The Mummy. So this is Universal Studios trying to do the whole Marvel thing. They're making this whole monster universe where all these movies are going to be interconnected. They're going to do it with Frankenstein, Dracula, Creature of the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, you name it. This is going to be the first one, and that first trailer didn't really impress me all that much. It was kind of cool, but it kind of just looked like every other Tom Cruise action movie. I hope it's good because it's got some decent sized shoes to fill. The original Mummy from back in the 1920s or 30s or whenever that movie came out is obviously a classic, and I actually really do enjoy the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies. Looks kind of generic, but hopefully the actual movie will be better. The Captain Underpants movie. Yeah, you remember this. You remember these books. You read this. Don't lie to yourself. I mean, I don't know. There's no trailer yet, but the poster looks accurate to the source material, so why are they making a movie about Captain Underpants? Okay, so Cars 3. I don't think anyone cared about this movie at all until that trailer came out. The first two movies were heavily criticized for being way too kiddie and basically being used as marketing ploys to sell merchandise. But this new one looks like it's taking itself much more seriously and just completely ditching all of that kiddie stuff. It's going to be a bit concerning with such a huge tonal shift from the first two movies, but I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Maybe this will be the Dark Knight of Pixar movies. I don't know. Could either be really cool, could either be really stupid. I don't know. Transformers The Last Knight. Now, I kind of already talked about this one in my trailer review for Transformers The Last Knight, so if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. You can just go check it out there. But, yeah, I don't know. It looks kind of interesting. It's a Transformers movie. It can't be any worse than the last one, that's for sure. If it manages to be worse than Age of Extinction, then they've broken some sort of record, because wow, is that movie garbage. Next, we have Despicable Me 3. I overall really enjoyed the first Despicable Me. Despicable Me 2 was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one, but this one is probably going to be entertaining and fun, and you also got Trey Parker from South Park as the villain, so that should be pretty good. Alright, this is a big one. Spider-Man Homecoming. For the first time in years, I am actually excited to see a Spider-Man movie, and that makes me so happy. I mean, I adore the first two Spider-Man movies. I grew up with them. They're very important to me. And then we got Spider-Man 3, which, yeah, and then we got the Spider-Man remakes, which were just so boring. They were so uninteresting. But this one looks like the way I want to see a Spider-Man movie. It looks really fun, but it looks like it has some dark parts, and it's also set in the mainstream Marvel universe, so we're gonna see Spider-Man with Iron Man. Oh, it looks so cool. War for the Planet of the Apes is a sequel to Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I actually loved both of those movies. Rise was actually a pleasant surprise, and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was actually a fantastic movie. I actually think it's one of the best sci-fi movies to come out in a while. I really, really loved that movie. This one looks great as well. The CGI looks excellent as always. You got Woody Harrelson as the villain. You got Andy Serkis returning as Caesar. It looks like it's going to be a satisfying conclusion to this trilogy. Up next, we have possibly my most anticipated movie for next year, Dunkirk, which is directed by Christopher Nolan, and his name alone should automatically get you excited. He did Inception, he did Interstellar, he did the Dark Knight trilogy. He is an amazingly talented director. I'm genuinely excited to see his take on like a World War II drama. This could very well be his own Saving Private Ryan. Christopher Nolan has never disappointed me before, and I doubt he's going to disappoint me now. Blade Runner 2049, a sequel that I wasn't really all for at first because I felt like the first Blade Runner ended so perfectly. That has one of the best endings in cinematic history. But this one seems to have a great cast with Harrison Ford returning as Deckard, Ryan Gosling, Jared Leto, Dave Bautista, and it's also being directed by Denis Villeneuve, who directed Sicario, Prisoners, and Arrival. He's very talented and his style is perfect for this type of movie, so I'm actually pretty interested to see what they do. Kingsman 2: The Golden Circle. Now, not everyone liked the first Kingsman movie. Personally, I loved it. I thought it was very funny. The action was phenomenal. It was a really refreshing take on the spy genre, and it is a franchise that I want to see continue. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And you also have Matthew Vaughn returning in the director's chair, and he really has not made a bad movie. And then we have Thor Ragnarok, which is the third Thor movie, which sounds like it might be the weirdest Marvel movie ever made. It looks like it's mixing and matching so many different storylines and so many different characters, including the Planet Hulk storyline. Now, Planet Hulk is a great comic, and I would love to see it in a movie, but I'm a bit concerned about Planet Hulk showing up in a Thor movie. I'm not super excited because I didn't really like the first two Thors, but maybe it'll be good, I don't know. Justice League, directed once again by Zack Snyder, who did Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. I want it to be good. I desperately do. This is the Justice League we're talking about. But I just can't get excited with what this team has done in the past. Just with their past work, I can't have high hopes for it. I just can't. So far from what we've seen, it looks good, and I'm praying that it's going to be good, but I just can't get excited for it. And last but certainly not least, we have Star Wars Episode 8. We don't really know anything about it yet. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat similar to Empire Strikes Back. I don't really know. I hope it's its own original thing, but that's just what I'm guessing. I loved what they did with The Force Awakens, so I can't wait to see what they do here. Okay, so I think that's about it. I was going to talk about a couple more movies, but the battery on my camera is dying, so I think I just gotta stop. Plus, I've been recording for about an hour now. It's almost 12 o'clock. I'm way too tired. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I my videos don't even get that many views. However, before I continue in my self-loathing, I think I have one more movie to see this year. Anyway though, that's all I got. I'm Aidan and I like movies. See you guys later.